Kyle Denton, and I'm the Digital Communications Specialist for the Indiana Office of Tourism Development. And you can see my email address at the bottom of the screen. Please be afraid to reach out to me. I want to be of help whenever I can. Without further ado, I want to get started so that we can make sure we don't run long. To start, let's talk about the results we're seeing with our digital strategy at IOTD. When I audited the state in May 2015, we had 18,452 likes on our Facebook page, a rather impressive 32,350 followers on Twitter, and account was verified. And 2,836 followers on Instagram. Hermione was not impressed. So forward to 2 years later, we now have 31,758 likes on Facebook, and 683 followers on Twitter. Not as dramatic of growth, but as I said, we had a pretty starting point there. And a dramatic growth on Instagram, where we had the most potential for growth, up to 21,175. And it is happier with the numbers. But I'll hold pause because we've got a lot of work to do to catch up with our competitors in other states and show you these numbers, not to brag, but to show you that it's important to know where you've been, to appreciate where your efforts are taking you. I have those May 2015 numbers on a post-it note that's tacked up in my office. I recommend you do something similar. Develop your digital strategy and implement it. It can be helpful to keep in mind, to stay the course, that you know where you've been to appreciate your efforts. So, today's webinar is 21st Century Newsstand. And bear with me as we're going to get a little off topic here, at least it'll seem to, but I promise it'll come back to social media and digital strategy. So what can old magazine covers teach us about social and digital media? This is a question I asked myself after listening to one episode of a favorite podcast of mine. 100% Invisible is a podcast I discovered a few years ago. It focuses on design, but it covers all aspects of design, from graphic design to urban design, fashion design, aircraft design, anything you can think of. For we know that Abraham Lincoln is actually responsible for the concept of standard sizes of clothing, i.e. small, medium, and large, that we have today. If that's of interest, check out episode 226 of 99% Invisible, which is titled On Average. They put out an episode of this podcast every week, and they also provide a great historical perspective on the topic of each episode. I learned something each one, and I occasionally will have an episode that teaches me something that causes me to look at my work through a different lens. One of those episodes was number 101, entitled Cover Story. It talks about the history and evolution of magazine cover design. So magazine covers were a place for artists to just show off. They were a necessary evil. The head of a magazine was what was important, and it just needed some type of work on the front. Familiar with the famous Norman Rockwell covers of the Saturday Evening Post. A few examples of what I'm talking about from the 40s and early 50s. Esquire magazine was similar, and like a lot of magazines, they had a little mascot that appeared on most of their covers. You see him here, his name was Esky. So some magazines still do this. Mad magazine is probably the best example of that. So in 1962, Esquire's head editor, named Harold Hayes, asked a New York ad man named George Lois to do a cover for Esquire. Hayes gave Lois a description of the 20 main articles that were in the magazine, and one of them included a preview of the Floyd Patterson-Sonny Liston boxing match that was coming up. Patterson was heavily favored in the match, and the magazine was going to come out prior to the match, so you know, if you something about the match, it was going to look like a prediction. So back to Hayes with this. of a Floyd Patterson look-alike laying flat on his back. Clear that the was Esquire predicting that Liston, who was heavy underdog, was going to win. Hayes went along with it, and even a Patterson victory would make the magazine look bad. He decided to go ahead and allow the cover to go through. Well, Liston ended up winning and looked like a genius for all the attention that he got Esquire magazine with the cover. He had to do 92 Esquire covers over the next 19 years. So introduced the stark image as a new way to sell magazines. You can see some of his work. So lowest, the magazine cover is now a place to make a bold statement using photography. And this switch is a move away from using what was on the inside of a magazine to what was on the outside to sell the content. It took a man to figure out that if you want people to buy a magazine off a rack to get their attention, treating the magazine like a product. While other magazines caught on, and nearly everyone had a stark image on the cover of their magazines. In 1965, Cosmopolitan took the magazine cover a step further. Their magazines stand out not just with a striking image, but with text that was designed to draw people in. Text has obviously been used on magazine covers before this, but set the standard for what a newsstand magazine looks like today, using provocative text to pique people's interest. These headlines leave you needing to know more. So, why can't a woman be like a man? I'm curious. Will your children inherit it? I hope not. You get these lines make you want to read the content to find out more. They desire the knowledge that the magazine provides. Someone listening here right now is probably thinking, wasn't this a webinar on digital media? We're actually going to talk about social media. So, believe it or not, it's no longer the 1960s, and Americans are now consuming content online more than ever. They own magazines like they used to, but this newsstand still exists, and not just in the checkout aisle at the grocery store. In my view, Facebook and Twitter are the new version of the newsstand. This complete mindset change for me when I'm listening to that podcast, and it changed the way we share content for Visit Indiana. Our site is our magazine, and content on our website is our product. We need to sell it on that newsstand that is Facebook and Twitter. A whole section of the internet that's dedicated to driving traffic via what I call clickbait. It was on full display with the fake news scandals of the election in 2016. The fake news sites often have some political agendas, but for the most part, these clickbait websites exist to drive traffic, which they turn into advertising dollars. Racket if you do it well. Now, frankly speaking, these websites that I'm talking about are kind of the parasites of the internet, but they're effectively using social media to get people onto their websites. Thus, we learn from what they're doing. Examples. People in this one, people are doing stupid things while taking selfies. I mean, sure, I'm intrigued. They're promising us 39, which I'm will turn into 39 separate clicks on their website, but there's something about a list that draws us in. A policeman is in an elevator and doesn't know that he's on camera. Surely he does something I need to see. Now, I fit into the millennial generation based on when I was born, but it doesn't necessarily identify as a millennial. I will say, though, an article like this gets me because I have some compulsion to be outraged at least once a day. Craziest rant in Tinder history. I'm not on Tinder, but I think there's some crazy stuff going on there. And this article, on it is kind of like people watching without leaving your house. This one is the coup de grace. So, cute squirrel who's covered in butter. You cannot click on that. So, how do you take this concept and use it to promote travel? Examples of those who think, I think, do it well. This is a website only in your state. We share their content because they do a great job with these headlines, and their site's very Facebook friendly. Some underappreciated state parks in Indiana that you're sure to love. So count the provocative aspects of this headline. It's a list of 7, so it tells us that the parks are underappreciated, so we might learn something new in this article. It tells us we're sure to love these parks, and guarantee. So you can stack these concepts up on top of each other, and it just creates engagement on Facebook. Travel and leisure. The cheapest place to travel in April. So we have a superlative here in the word cheapest. We have a deadline. These offers are just gone. So interact soon. I call these type of headlines Jeopardy headlines. They're giving you the answer to get you to ask the question. They're provoking you to ask a question, which is to get your click. Nothing better than this epic festival in Indiana. There acts as our superlative on this one, and I call it epic. So for the outrage I talked about a moment ago, anyone who has a favorite festival in Indiana, and it isn't the one that's in this article, is be prepared to battle it out in the comments. Their goal is to get you to click, so they don't really care if it's because you're mad or, it's because you're just excited. Driving traffic. This one from Midwest Living, and the fastest growing city in the Midwest is ... Fastest growing is a superlative, and they leave out the answer, making this another Jeopardy headline. What is Des Moines is the correct response for those playing at home. I had to click on it to make sure it wasn't some Indiana. I heard this article a few months ago. So this tiny brewery in Indiana was just named the best in the nation. So they call the brewery tiny to tell you that you probably don't know about it. They also provide a superlative by calling it the best in the nation. And using the word just means this is news that your friends might not know. We have an ingrained desire to know things before everyone else. The word just in this case, I believe before the article came out, they had won the award that it talks about like 8 months prior. So they're using some liberty with the word just, but it's effective. Another one from Midwest Living, 7 sunny Midwest destinations to visit this spring. We have their list. We have also provided a deadline to this spring. So unfortunately, we're too late for this one, guys. I'm sorry. So how are we doing this, using this strategy at IOTD? Oasis awaits you in West Lafayette. Here, we're combining the provocative headline with the Jeopardy approach. Search image is very important in this one because I don't think that is a thing that most people associate with Indiana. So it actually did quite a bit of traffic for our site, and it was very effective. Then post, this one-of-a-kind adventure you have to try in Madison. So we're establishing that it's rare by calling it one of a kind, and we're saying that participation is required by saying that they have to try it. 3 ice cream places will have you screaming for more. And we're telling the reader that they will love it. Plus it's ice cream. Who doesn't like ice cream? Which, again, is a very strong, striking image to get people to click. Indiana Unlocked. Don't tell 9 great seafood spots. This one I didn't anticipate going the way it did. This one actually sparked a lot of outrage. I was going for intrigue. Apparently, people get very angry about whether or not our state is landlocked. We've got Lake Michigan and we've got the Ohio River, so I had several people downright angry about the fact that I called Indiana landlocked. But nonetheless, it drove traffic, and that's all I care about. So the image is right, and you have a subject matter that's intriguing in its own right. you don't have to go over the top. So on this, a perfect getaway in beautiful New Harmony. Perfect is a superlative, and I felt New Harmony in its own right is something maybe a lot of people know about, and it is very intriguing. So you don't have to always stand them all on top of each other and really go all out on these headlines. So pick your spots. This one actually did really well. So the Indiana ballparks that baseball fans must see. It's a list and segmented the audience into baseball fans, and kind of inferring to them that they aren't baseball fans unless they've seen these ballparks. And but not least, we've got 5 Indiana spots on Midwest Living's ultimate bucket list. This one, I took a positive mention we had in a Midwest Living article, and instead of sharing a list of 100 that includes 95 things I don't want my reader to do, I created my own post using their list as a third-party endorsement. I recommend you do this whenever possible. You turn the earned media that you've procured into web traffic on your site and still get the benefit of that endorsement. So this is a list. It has a third-party endorsement, and ultimate and bucket list drive home the point that these are must-see attractions in Indiana. So, Facebook. How do you do this on Twitter? I'll get these a little more quickly because I hope you're gist of this at this point. Twitter's a quick medium, and on Twitter, tweet is headline, and you should always include something visual, either photo or video. You're passing by so quickly that it's of utmost importance to draw attention with a striking image and a evocative headline. So this one, we're asking them which of Indiana's 92 county courthouses is the most beautiful. Spoiler, we don't actually answer that question in the thing. We just show them all 92 and kind of leave it up to them. On this one, the image can be, is a little busy, but busy isn't the worst thing on Twitter as long as it isn't a detriment to your brand. So I'm not saying, put, something doesn't look good up on Twitter, but trying to get them to stop to check out what it is you're selling. Like pie. Timer food shots are great for Twitter. Anna? Say beer. Get the point. So, I hope you see the value to this newsstand strategy, and I hope you can take that and make it part of what you do. To this presentation, center on building a social media strategy, and we do at IOTD. So, build a social media plan isn't necessarily mapping out your content for the next year in one sit down as a group. It's coming up with guidelines to follow. Social medium is different, and strategy should be too. When you develop should act as a filter. The filter is how you'll decide what you want to post and what you don't want to post. So, does it plan? If it doesn't, don't post it. Along the line, you're going to have something unforeseen that will change your plan somewhat. The words every day. So, how do you build your social media plan? These are the questions that should shape your social media filter. First, who is your target audience? Who are the people that will be visiting you? Where do they live? What do they like to do? They're very similar to the target audience you have in your traditional marketing. This same group, most likely. You probably have more than one target audience. Your filter should keep that in mind. None of your posts will apply to all of your audience. All of your posts should apply to at least one segment of your audience. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to take? What does the audience want from you? As you can hear, sometimes they won't even know what they want. Content relevant. Does it make sense for Visit Indiana to post about skiing right now in late June? On water skiing? No, it doesn't. This is common sense, but there's a gray area with timing of posting. Does it make sense to post about an event the day of the event? For us, we want to post about it at least a few days before. Our audience is planning a weekend or planning, a trip. So we want to make sure that we're giving them time to make those type of plans and to include whatever it is we're talking about. Are you posting something? What do you get from posting something? To answer that easily, you question whether it should be posted. If you aren't posting it for your target audience, you probably shouldn't post it. I'm posting about industry news and statistics on our accounts because our target audience is the consumer and they care about those things. How does this message make its best impact? Whether posting it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, is there enough time for a blog post to make sense on this topic? The important questions for your plan. Once you internalize that plan, you'll be able to make those decisions very quickly and on the fly. Opinion, this slide is one of the most important in this presentation. With that newsstand metaphor well, if the stand is empty, we won't be selling any magazines. For me, make sure we're filling the time slots of when our content goes out is very important. If we post one day on Facebook or Instagram, that's a TV station having dead air. It's a missed opportunity that we can't get back. So it has a lifespan of a few hours, and we'll actually see that on timelines. After that, they won't likely see it. You should spread out your posts to cover the hours of the day. So that if someone is on Twitter, they could possibly see your content. Facebook operates on an algorithm. You're at the mercy of a formula, and Facebook wants you to pay for people to see your content. I think that you're best off posting once per day. Facebook will simply show your most recent posts in users' timelines. So if you post in the morning and then in the afternoon, the second post is effectively killing the first post. Now, if you promote your morning post, it'll continue to get some attraction. Organically, it is dead. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, also operates on an algorithm, but it's a little more friendly. You also post at least once a day and more than 2 or 3 times a day. Instagram Stories is a good way to supplement if you want to post more robust content. And just like the other posts, it lasts 24 hours. It shows up in the very top, but it disappears after those 24 hours. It can grind posting to multiple accounts on multiple channels every day. It just isn't reasonable to expect someone to post annually at specific times that make the most sense on each medium. So, I recommend, if you're not doing it, schedule posts whenever you can. We use TweetDeck, but you can use Hootsuite and Buffer. I use TweetDeck because I find that Hootsuite and Buffer offer a paid version, and in my view, they just kind of funnel you toward that paid plan, whereas TweetDeck is owned by Twitter, and they have a paid version. Scheduled through Facebook or Hootsuite or Buffer. Much like TweetDeck, we use Facebook to schedule our posts. In Facebook, I get a true representation of what the post will look like. We can schedule post-production prior to it going live as well. We use a service called Later, an online platform that coincides with an app on your phone. So you get 30 posts per month for free with Later. I really like it, but there are other services as well. Instagram won't let you fully automate, so the way it works is you put it into Later, it pops up at the time you schedule it and gives you a notification to say, hey, it's time to post this, and it's just a couple of taps of your screen and it's up. But it does make life a lot easier. One thing we do that I highly recommend is to create a social media editorial calendar. So to give a visual on when you have content scheduled and when you need to schedule more content. What you hear is a week from our schedule in April. Just Google Calendar. As you can see, if I was going to schedule another tweet this week, it looks Sunday, Friday, and Saturday would be the days to do it because I have more tweets on the other days. It helps spread out your posts evenly to cover your inventory, and it helps you make a conscious effort to diversify the subject matter that you're posting about on a daily, weekly, covering all the bases. It gives you a living history of what you've posted for future reference. If someone asks what we've done about, posted about Lincoln Amphitheater, I can easily search and tell them we put on these days and on these mediums about Lincoln Amphitheater, and this also helps me a whole lot when I'm scheduling when it comes to Twitter. Tweets to go to blog posts for sometimes months at a time. I have tweets currently that are scheduled through early January. Keep a calendar for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but Twitter's the most useful, I find, because we post much more frequently there. Some general tips before the specifics for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As we said, have a plan. What fits you and your organization best? I think everyone should be on Facebook, but if you're on Twitter currently, it would be a great idea to try and get started there. I mean, Twitter's on a downward slope, and so trying an audience there might not be the most effective use of your time. If you're getting started and want to talk through the different mediums, touch with me, and I'd love to chat about it. So target demographics. Don't plan that you have time in the day to implement. Ambitious, but don't spread yourself too thin. Are your content? How many do you have to spend? Where would it be best to spend your money? Working as a team on social media, make sure to find who's doing what. You don't waste time, and you don't want to drop the ball because everyone thought everyone else would complete a task or make a post. It's supposed to make life easier, so I suggest you let it. Schedule posts, and you can use Instagram to automatically tweet out your Instagram post. Now, there are some out there that frown upon sharing Instagram posts to Twitter. I personally disagree with that. I found that tweets that includes to Twitter or to Instagram have higher engagement. It's also more traffic to your Instagram account. So it's a good way to help grow your Instagram account, specifically if your Twitter account has more of a following. However, recommend using Instagram or other services to auto-post on Facebook. Facebook's algorithm doesn't like that. Hootsuite and Buffer are different. Facebook won't typically downgrade those services, but automatic feed posts will be treated as spam by the algorithm. So this is digital marketing. It's called social media, but please treat it like it's just part of your digital marketing plan. We have millions of digital impressions via social each year. You should get just how you would a digital ad placement. For your customer, your boss. It's easy to just share out links to press releases, but you need to focus on what your consumer wants. Magazine. Get the consumer to stop and take notice. Finally, focus on quality over quantity. It's about traffic, but it's also about brand building. Make you always have your best foot forward. I would rather have one awesome post a day than 6 that are boring. Now, what do we do at IOTD? We've been covering the state in 2 ways. Geographically, we have 6 regions, and we want to make sure that we're posting content about all 6. We have 4 drivers of tourism in Indiana as well. Culinary, art, culture, heritage, and then sports and outdoor. The editorial calendar I showed earlier goes a long way toward making sure we're trying to cover each region or each subject a equal amount. Now, you have different priorities than this, but you have a similar strategy. What are the different aspects of what you have to promote, and how can you ensure that you're giving due coverage to each of those? Now, on Facebook, we try to maximize what we can get organically and supplement with paid promotion to drive traffic to our website. So, you need to find out what works for you and your audience. You find that you get more engagement with posts and videos. I highly recommend trying some new things and seeing what makes your reach and engagement go up. I'm going to go on a little tangent here, but I'll call out something I saw on Facebook that I thought was awesome. The Dream, which is an ice cream shop in Albany, Indiana, posted a series of Facebook Lives. They made some of their signature desserts and food items on camera. Now, those posts went viral and 129,000 views. The rest of them, were less than 2,000 or so. But one post is huge for a small business. I think a lot of restaurants in the state could use this strategy. It's some luck. You can't just count on going viral, but it's worth trying. For us, that we find works best are articles from blogs or news sites. Consistent reach and engagement with this strategy. It doesn't mean it's what you need to do, but it works for us. Now, we use a website called BuzzSumo to find the most Facebook-friendly links. It's a search engine, and it will show you what articles have been shared the most about a topic. You can set in your when were the articles posted, put in your search term, and it will sort them by the most shared, if that makes sense. If an article has shown that it's highly shareable, Facebook's algorithm will treat it favorably, which means more reach and more engagement. News sites might have the same story, but one might work a lot better for you to post on Facebook. Sumo helps you make that choice by showing you which one has more shares. If articles from a particular site perform well on Facebook, that means it's been sort of whitelisted by Facebook. For us, only your state, which we showed earlier, performs well. So I like to use articles from that site quite a bit for our organic posts. Now, if you're prepping a blog post or a page on your site, make sure you fill in those search engine optimization fields. SEO goes a long way toward Facebook's success. Facebook's algorithm works much like Google's in that it gives preference to the sites that have done the work in the background. We have Newsstand philosophy to sell our website content with headlines and images. Make sure that if you're spending money on any social media, that you're accomplishing more than just your goals on social media. That's where driving web traffic when we promote posts. We also use promoted posts to promote our marketing campaigns. So what I'm saying is, don't just give money to Facebook so that you can have more people like your page on Facebook. I don't think that's the best use of your funds. On Twitter, you have to find your audience, and they're on at different times of the day. As I said, tweets have a short lifespan. Only a fragment of your audience will see a given tweet. Figure what times you're getting the most engagement. That means your audience is online the most. Those are the times you should be posting. Here's the best way to do this. At ITD, we typically post at 9 a.m., noon, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9. If we've got more posts than that, we'll post at 8:45 and 9:15, 11:45 and 12:15. You can put a half-hour buffer in between your posts and get 2 posts for that time slot, if that makes sense. Your content lasts of hours and only a few people see it. So post it days later and at a different time of day. You'll get a different audience. I typically will tweet out a blog post once a week, varying my times of day, days of the week, and rotating through 2 or 3 images. One notices that repetition because the image is changing and there's, probably 50 tweets in between when I post the same article twice. But it keeps the account active and it keeps engagement up as people are seeing new content all the time. Is the ultimate newsstand. Your users pass by quickly, and they only have a split second to get their engagement and get them to your site. Now, on Instagram, I find that there's a great opportunity to promote tourism on Instagram. Based, but Facebook hasn't turned it into a pay-for-play scheme just yet. Now, I say yet because I'm not a big fan of Facebook, and I think they try and make a buck on anything. So it's probably a matter of time, so take it as well while you can. Like I said, it's Facebook-owned. Post good content and get engagement. Instagram will put you into your followers' feeds. This one's so complicated. Share the beauty of your destination. Active search for good photos. If somebody's posting photos of your destination and they're good-looking photos, if you can reshare them, most of the time they'll say yes, and you can repost or feature them. You get great photos on your feed with very little effort. So there are several apps available that are free and easy to use for this. We use what's called Repost. Instagram is much like I talked about earlier. If you don't post, it's wasted inventory. You can't go back and get that reach and engagement on your Instagram account. It's the opportunity to build your brand. I think Instagram is uniquely suited for brand building. To get to questions, our next webinar on the Indiana Tourism Road Signage Program through the Indiana Department of Transportation will be September 26th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Registration is open now, so please feel free to sign up. You can find that at bit.ly/IOTD webinars. That's case sensitive, so please leave it all lowercase. We will send out a link as well, and also find it on our industry website at visitindianatourism.com. On the For Industry Partners tab, there's actually a page just for the webinars where we will also post a video of this webinar later. So again, thanks for tuning in. If anyone has any questions, submit them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. No, there's a chat. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat, so I just want to thank you for tuning in. Oh, we've got one.
Katie, since social media is for the consumer, where do you share industry news that the boss wants you to post, if anywhere?
So I've actually been dealing with this. So we have a separate Twitter account that was set up a long time ago that I use for that. Now, it doesn't have the following that we have, and I understand that sometimes, can be, it's hard to say no to them, but I encourage you to have that discussion with them and see if you can convince them that that's kind of the, it's consumer focused and not necessarily toward legislators or things like that. An interesting industry where we're trying to drive consumers to act. And on our end, I worry that if we post things like occupancy and things like that, we're going to bore our audience and lose some of our following.
Okay to use the same photo over and over again?
So I said earlier, what we do on Twitter specifically, I will make sure that we have multiple photos that I can use for a blog post, and I will rotate them. It doesn't, you know, if you go to our Instagram feed or our Twitter feed, you don't see the same photo repetitively. Now, can you use the same photo for multiple, you know, posts and things? You can. You know, you don't want your user to get bored with what you're doing. That's one of those where you can try and find user-generated photos on Instagram or Facebook, and you know, you can just ask them, do you care if we use this? And you know, most of the time, people are all about getting some social media fame, and will say yes. If we don't have any other questions, Ken early. Much for tuning in. I really appreciate it.